NFC East, D. Wood, how about them Dallas Cowboys? What grade would you give their draft?
Yeah, I'll give them a B+. I mean, listen, you're getting one of the top players in Caleb Downs, a leader back there at the safety position. Not only can play the deep half of the middle of the defense, but also can possibly play the nickel. Then you go out and get Malachi Lawrence, a pass rusher, that has elite get off. And so when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they address a couple key positions on that defense.
Yeah, I thought it was extremely good. That's a tough grade. D. Wood would have been a tough professor. Peter, what draft grade would you give the Eagles?
Maybe I'm just easy. I thought everyone in the NFC East did well. I give the Eagles an A, and it's not just because of Mekhi Lemon and Eli Stowers, who's a tight end they got in the second round. I love that they made the trade for Jonathan Grenard, who is a veteran pass rusher who could replace Jalen Phillips, who they had the second half of last season. Howie Roseman's a madman as far as manipulating the draft board. I thought he played chess very well this weekend.
He's extraordinary, and that story of how they got him is quite remarkable. Finally, Dan, how about the New York Football Giants?
Yeah, I'm going to give the Giants I don't remember my grade.
A B.
A B, partly because I never got B's and A's when I was a student. Arvell Reese, unbelievably athletic and talented player. Francis Mauigoa, the big tackle from Miami. I love the fact that they've rebuilt this offensive line. It's probably going to be the best offensive line the Giants have had in a decade. Honestly, I wanted a receiver in the second round at 37. They get Malachi Fields in the third round. Out of Notre Dame. So that's why it's a B, because I really thought a playmaker at 37 was something that I desired more.
Well, the Giants playmaker was one of those who had some questions about what they did. You may have seen this, but in case you haven't, I'm going to play you what Malik Nabers said the night of the draft. Malik Nabers, who was their star receiver who got hurt early last season, he was commentating live on Micah Parsons' podcast when the Giants made their pick of Arvell Reese. So you're going to hear what Nabers said, and then you're going to hear John Harbaugh reacting to it right after that.
Don't get me wrong, I love the player, but just like, where do you play? Like, you wanna be on the outside and rush, but we just drafted somebody last year.
One thing that you'll kind of probably see as we go here, we don't get too worried about stuff. Malik wants to know how we're going to use our first-round pick. I want to show him. I want to explain it to him, and the fact that he says it publicly, who cares?
That was a fascinating reaction from John Harbaugh. Malik Nabers then came back on social media and said, first off, we have to stop overreacting. I would never intentionally take away from the biggest moment or night of Arvell's life. Very excited to see him play on the team and happy that we have another dog on the squad. So, Peter, we were talking about this morning. How would you sum up this whole rigmarole?
Yeah, I think Nabers made his comments, and then Friday morning, first thing, right after that, he spoke with Harbaugh, and they had an open exchange. And then Harbaugh goes up in front of the media, and that was only a snippet of it. I think he really nipped it in the bud and basically said, I've spoken to Malik. I love Malik. His heart's in a good place. And also, let's look at the big picture here. And it was a very good candid thing with Joe Shane standing right next to him. But I think more than anything, for Giants fans, it was, oh my gosh, there's an adult in the room who handled this already and has an open heart and is moving on. Guess who the first player to greet Arvell Reese at the facility was when he got there? Malik Nabers. They're good. They're going to be just fine. This is the Harbaugh era where we are going to be able to handle things, which could be a New York City controversy. If you know Page 6, they like to dig in on these things. And if you know the New York City media, they like to dig in on these things. Harbaugh kind of put it to bed. Nabers, Arvell Reese, they're okay. I almost feel like that's a bigger win than the Giants haul this weekend.
Yeah, I understand that. You played in this market, so you have a sense of it here. Was that whole, we have a Giant fan on our show, John Fink, who's easily aggrieved. Fink? He's easily aggrieved, but he was upset by the whole Nabers.
The sun rose.
Yeah, Fink doesn't like almost anything. But he was upset about the Nabers of it all. What did you think of it?
No, I thought John Harbaugh handled it beautifully, to be honest with you. Listen, this is the era that we're in. It seems like a lot of players have podcasts and they want to voice their opinion. And so, I think John Harbaugh just gets it. He understands. I don't think nothing that Malik's Nabers said was malicious or anything like that. He asked made a legitimate statement. And John Harbaugh, to his credit, came out in the press conference like, listen, I understand where he's coming from. I'm going to show him. I talked to him. It's all good. And in this market, in this New York market, that's what you got to do.
You seem iffy on it.
Well, great leadership is great to have. And this is great leadership by Coach Harbaugh. The only thing I would say is I hope that it's a little bit of a learning example for Malik Nabers. You're the star wide receiver of the New York Giants in New York City. When you say something, the whole world is going to hear it. And so I'm not going to bash the young man. He's 22 years old. I love the talent Malik Nabers is. I just hope it is a little bit of a learning experience, both publicly and privately, of saying, hey, I can appreciate what you said. your words carry a lot of weight.
Look, this is 2026. Life has become a Mad Lib. Remember Mad Libs who just fill in things? So Malik Neighbors was on Micah Parsons' podcast commenting on the Giants' first-round draft pick, Arvell Reese. All of that said, I thought the Giants had a great draft. Yeah. Absolutely great. Who was it that gave them their grade? It was.
I thought it was. I said, first of all, I think the NFC East, a lot of the teams.
That's a great draft. Look,
I agree.
Colton Hood, people thought was going to be a first-round pick.
Can I add something on Fields?
Yeah.
You know, Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald said that the Dolphins had a really high grade on Fields, and that would have been their pick. So the Giants somehow knew that, had intel. They traded up, and a lot of people were like, they're trading up for Malachi Fields. We just watched him all these Saturdays. They traded up, and guess what? If their intel was right, another team was going to take them right afterwards.
I think that there were, look, I can't speak for teams. There were definitely people who analyzed the draft for a living who thought that Arvell Reese was the best defensive front seven player and that Francis Mauigoa was the best offensive lineman. Yeah. So they may have gotten the best defensive player and the best offensive player at 5 and 10.
Really, it's Mauigoa and Malachi Fields for me. Those are like the two people that are going to swing it. I think Arvell Reese is going to be a good player, but the Giants have had a bad offensive line for a decade. Talent-wise, this is the best offensive line they had in a long time. In Malachi Fields, a lot of people tested very well, athletic player, can go make plays down the field. If he becomes a really good, number 2 receiver, I agree.
And I know they have a lot of edge guys now who all theoretically do the same thing. But when they won the Super Bowls, didn't they have that NASCAR package where they were constantly running guys in and out of there?
Running off the edge.
I mean, if you're an offensive tackle, are you looking at the other team and thinking, oh, they've got 4 guys who can rush the passer and all? I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing. They got you because they're all unique. Yeah. And there's nothing, as an offensive lineman, there's nothing scarier than a bunch of smaller guys lined up on you that can make you look stupid out there.
They were historically bad stopping the run last year. In the history of the Giants, the worst ever. That's going to have to improve before those pass rushers really.
Steve, back from Pittsburgh, fresh off being there in the belly of downtown for the draft. Before we get into some thoughts just about fits and picks, you were blown away by how much better it was than you thought.
I'm still in awe. Like, if people want a big event, go to the draft. It's incredible what that event has become. And shout out to our team and everybody that helped out. Like, seamless, everybody behaving in the city. Like, it was incredible for something that big for that many days now. Yeah. It's a true monster event.
And it's coming to our city next year.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up, buddy.
We're ready. We're going to do big-time stuff. Do the show down there.
They got to peel you off that seat.
I'll go down there and do it. All right, let's dive in. Hashtag ball talk. Best fit in round 1.
Yeah, well, as you're watching the draft, Scott, and you're seeing it, and it happened so we were at an incredible pace at what was going on. The picks are moving. Yeah. But just looking at it and being a fan of Todd Bowles, being what Tampa Bay needed, Ruben Bain going to the Buccaneers, I thought was absolutely perfect. They needed some things to go right for them to get him. People are going to talk about the short arms. Look at this. Just
all business. All business.
Don't care about the mirror, how the hat looks. The family had the matching suits. I loved it. But when you talk about Todd Bowles and his defense and what they look like down the stretch and the variance of what kind of pass rushers they've had, the way they move guys around and do things, I don't see arm length being a problem. People are going to, what does Jay Billis always say? We want to count. People are great at counting. Yeah. He's a disruptor, man. He is going to disrupt things, and he's going to fit in perfectly with the Buccaneers and be that juice of energy that they need after they faded down the stretch last year.
That was 15, so that's outside the top 10. If anybody in the top 10, it means you haven't had a great year. So a team that needed some help within the top 10, that you like the totality of the draft.
Yeah, I think the uncertainty of the draft was because all those teams at the top needed so many things, whether it was Tennessee, whether it was Las Vegas. But I look at Cleveland, and everybody talked about how they were just going by analytics to start their draft, and that's what we were going to take, and guys didn't have measurables. They weren't going to take them. But they need guys on the roster. They got a starting tackle. They got the guy that separates the best of the wide receiver class. They got my favorite receiver in Denzel Boston right here. And then they got an absolute crusher at safety. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is a playmaker. I give him a ton of credit for staying at Toledo. He got tons of offers. You hear that, from mid-majors and going places. I think there's some loyalty there. That guy's a game changer. Those are 4 starters they got, and I like the depth that they created at the back end of the draft with all the picks. Those teams need players, Cleveland went and got.
All right, we did the Stanford Steve draft superlatives in advance of the draft. A number of those were significant. Your guy from Stanford went relatively early. A ton of tight ends, by the way. Lots of tight ends went. Nothing wrong with that. But your favorite moment of the draft was one of Stanford Steve's mock superlatives, which was?
Yeah, Eli Heidenreich going to the Steelers. Like, once you saw the pieces going, and I just think the colors, his emotion, like, look at this. In the back room, as good. And my superlative was, Scott, that the Christian McCaffrey comparisons are going to start. He tested better than him at the time. This kid could play. Look at this salute.
The salute.
Come on,
Come
man.
on.
Come on. Like, that doesn't get you. And shout out to the Steeler fans, Steeler Nation. I mean, droves and droves. And you want to talk about age, you grow up a Steelers fan. It is. It's every age. I heard him do the interview with Reese and the guys on the decks. He talked about the first jersey he had was James Harrison because of the return in the Super Bowl. That's his first memory. Made us feel kind of old.
Kind of old?
You know?
Yeah.
That's his first memory.
Yeah, been around
But
for a
no,
while.
that moment was incredible, and it topped everything off for Pittsburgh. They were incredible hosts. The people are incredible, and man, they love their Steelers, and that's where you got everything summed into one thing there.
But just to finish this off, just with more hashtag ball talk, like, this isn't just a feel-good piece. Like, you believe this is a guy that could be a contributing, significant member.
Look at the running backs they've gone through the last couple of years. He could play. He's 6 foot. He almost caught for 1,000 yards. Everybody loves a running back.
At Navy.
At Navy, yeah. I mean, he can play special teams, the whole thing. He tested out great. He's going to play for them.
Hashtag ball knower, ball talk. And again, comes to our city next
Cannot wait. 361 days.
And think about it. They set a record in Pittsburgh for the total number of folks. The mall is built to host
Buddy,
as many.
we got a lot more space.
Nation's capital,
Careful
baby.
of the water. There's water out there.
Fine, come on down.
Yeah.
We'll see you. It's May, early May. We're ready. I'll do the show from the mall.